It was a gray November afternoon in 1943 when Margaret Henderson stepped into the small office in Virginia Beach, her trembling hands clutching a yellowed photograph. The man in front of her, Edgar Cayce, was in his deep trance state, but something was different this time. Duke, her 7-year-old German shepherd, had started acting strangely 3 weeks prior. The dog refused to enter certain rooms in the house, barked at thin air, and, even more unsettling, seemed to know exactly when Margaret was about to receive bad news over the phone. He'd position himself beside her minutes before the receiver rang, as if he could see through time. Margaret couldn't sleep anymore. There was something in Duke's eyes, an intensity, a wisdom she'd never seen in an animal. It was as if he was trying to tell her something urgent, something that would change everything she thought she knew about reality. What Edgar Cayce would reveal in that session wouldn't just explain Duke's behavior, but would foreshadow a transformation we'd only begin to fully grasp 80 years later. A prophecy that's unfolding right now, right before our eyes. If you want to understand what's happening with the animals around us at this very moment, hit that like button now and subscribe to the channel, because what I'm about to reveal will completely change your perception of animal consciousness. Edgar Cayce wasn't your average guy. Known as the Sleeping Prophet, he had performed over 14,000 psychic readings throughout his life, diagnosing illnesses with pinpoint accuracy and predicting events doctors of the time considered impossible. His records show an 85% success rate in medical diagnoses, something that baffled even the staunchest skeptics. Governors, industrialists, and even presidents sought his advice. But Edgar had a peculiarity. His most extraordinary predictions always involved changes in human consciousness and our relationship with other life forms. In 1901, he predicted humanity would develop instant global communication, decades before the phone became widespread. In 1923, he spoke of machines that would let people see each other from a distance, 20 years before television. His archives, kept by the Association for Research and Enlightenment in Virginia Beach, contain over 14,000 typewritten documents, each stamped with a date and names of witnesses present. When Margaret Henderson came to him that afternoon in 1943, Edgar had already repeatedly shown that his ability to access information beyond conventional knowledge was real and well documented. What made this session special was that, for the first time, he was going to reveal something about the evolution of animal consciousness that we'd only begin to scientifically understand decades later. Edgar Cayce closed his eyes, his breathing becoming deep and rhythmic. When he finally spoke, his voice had that ethereal quality that characterized his deepest readings. I see that the four-legged companions, the winged beings, and those who swim in the depths carry within them the same soul force that inhabits man. They are parallel travelers on this journey of consciousness, not servants, but partners in evolution. His words were recorded by his secretary, Gladys Davis, who jotted down every syllable. A time will come, not far off, when these beings will demonstrate abilities man will consider impossible. They will perceive what is coming, feel the changes in the earth before they manifest, and communicate through means that transcend physical senses. Cayce's voice gained an unusual urgency. Duke, the companion of this soul who seeks understanding, already shows the first signs. He sees through the veil of time because his consciousness is not limited by linear human perception. What you call instinct is, in truth, access to fields of information that permeate all creation. Then came the most impressive part of the prophecy. In the first decades of the new millennium, when humanity is connected by invisible networks of communication, animals will reveal an even older and more powerful network. They will show that they have always been connected in a planetary consciousness, waiting only for man to be ready to recognize this truth. Margaret left that session transformed, but still skeptical. Like any rational person, she needed proof. That's when she started keeping a detailed diary about Duke's behavior. For the next 6 months, she meticulously recorded every strange action of the animal. On December 15, 1943, Duke refused to let her leave the house in the morning, physically blocking the door. 3 hours later, Margaret received a call informing her that, An ice storm had made the roads impassable, causing several fatal accidents. In January 1944, the dog began obsessively sniffing the kitchen wall. Margaret discovered a gas leak 2 days later that could have been deadly. The most impressive thing happened in March. Duke woke Margaret at 3 a.m., barking desperately and running to the elderly neighbor's room. She found the man unconscious, a victim of a heart attack that would have been fatal if not for immediate help. These diaries of Margaret remained lost for decades, until in 2019, during the renovation of a house in Norfolk, Virginia, they were found in a sealed box in the attic. Researcher Dr. James Mitchell, a specialist in historical documents at the University of Virginia, authenticated the manuscripts and was impressed by the accuracy of the dates and the correlation with recorded historical events. Margaret Henderson kept a scientific record without realizing it, Mitchell stated. Each entry has a verifiable date, time, and circumstances. It's as if she was documenting evidence of something that science has only recently begun to accept. 79 years after Cayce's prophecy, Dr. Sarah Chen, a quantum physicist at Stanford University, was about to discover something that would change our understanding of animal consciousness forever. In her advanced research lab, she was investigating electromagnetic field fluctuations on a microscopic scale when she noticed an intriguing pattern. We were measuring quantum fields in different environments when we noticed that the presence of animals created consistent anomalies in the data, Chen explained in a 2023 interview. These weren't just random noises, there were structures, coherent patterns that we couldn't explain. Her ultra-sensitive equipment detected that dogs, cats, and even birds generated unique electromagnetic signatures that seemed to interact with non-local information fields. It's as if they're constantly sending and receiving data through channels our traditional science still doesn't fully grasp, Chen said. The most surprising discovery came when she realized these fluctuations intensified dramatically moments before seismic events, climate changes, or even intense emotional situations in the tested environments. Animals don't just sense these changes. They seem to be plugged into a planetary information network that operates at quantum frequencies, Chen concluded. Her research, published in the Journal of Consciousness Studies in 2024, provided for the first time a plausible scientific basis for phenomena that Edgar Cayce had predicted 8 decades earlier. In March 2021, a cat named Yuki in Fukushima, Japan, went viral online for extraordinary behavior. 3 days before the 7.3 magnitude earthquake that rocked the region, Yuki began meowing incessantly and refusing to go inside, remaining in the center of the yard in a specific position, exactly as if he were tuned into something invisible. The video, posted by owner Akiko Tanaka, shows the cat holding this position for 72 consecutive hours, ignoring food and rain. When the earthquake finally hit, Yuki had predicted not only the event, but also the epicenter. His position in the yard was directly aligned with the geological fault that would rupture. But Yuki wasn't alone. In Cape Town, South Africa, a group of dolphins began creating perfectly geometric bubble patterns in the ocean in December 2022. Marine biologist Dr. Thabo Mthembu documented how the dolphins formed complex hexagons and spirals that lasted exactly 47 minutes each. "We've never seen anything like it," Mthembu declared. "It was as if they were following a protocol, a visual language we couldn't decipher." Most impressively, these patterns appeared simultaneously in different groups of dolphins around the world, without any physical contact between them. Researchers on 3 continents confirmed the phenomenon, and magnetic field analyses revealed that the bubble patterns coincided perfectly with electromagnetic fluctuations detected by satellites. The dolphins were, literally, writing in the ocean a language that transcended physical limitations. What started as isolated cases quickly transformed into a documented global phenomenon. In hospitals around the world, dogs trained to detect cancer began demonstrating accuracy that surpassed state-of-the-art medical equipment. At Massachusetts General Hospital, a golden retriever named Apollo correctly identified 97% of early-stage ovarian cancer cases, a rate that left oncologists baffled. Apollo doesn't just detect the disease, explained Dr. Rebecca Martinez. He pinpoints with surgical precision where the cancerous cells are located, something our most advanced scanners sometimes fail to do. In England, cats in nursing homes began behaving like psychic nurses. In Liverpool, a cat named Luna systematically visited the rooms of terminally ill patients exactly 24 hours before their deaths, offering comfort in their final moments with an accuracy that puzzled doctors and family members. In the countryside, the situation was even more extraordinary. Horses in Kentucky began refusing to enter stables that, weeks later, showed severe structural problems. On a farm in Texas, a herd of cows consistently avoided a specific area of the pasture that was later identified as containing toxic underground gases. These were no longer isolated cases. It was a global pattern of animals demonstrating perceptual abilities that transcended conventional explanations. Veterinarians, scientists, and researchers on 5 continents began collaborating, documenting thousands of similar cases, all pointing to the same unsettling conclusion. Animals had developed, or always possessed, forms of perception that humanity was only just beginning to recognize. In September 2023, Marcus Thompson, a retired math professor in Portland, Oregon, made a discovery that would change everything. His pet rabbit, Einstein, had developed a peculiar behavior, arranging his food pellets into complex geometric patterns. Initially, Marcus found it amusing until he realized the patterns followed advanced mathematical sequences, the Fibonacci sequence, prime numbers, and even approximations of the golden ratio. "My first reaction was utter disbelief," Marcus recounted in an interview. "But when Einstein started creating patterns that represented equations I was solving mentally, I couldn't ignore what was happening anymore." Einstein not only organized objects mathematically, he seemed to respond to Marcus's unvoiced thoughts, creating physical representations of abstract concepts his owner was contemplating. Dr. Sarah Chen, intrigued by the case, traveled to Portland to study Einstein personally. Using her quantum equipment, she discovered that the rabbit's brain emitted electromagnetic patterns that synchronized with Marcus's during moments of mathematical communication. Einstein is accessing information through quantum consciousness fields, Chen explained. His mind isn't processing math the way we understand it. He's tuning directly into the probability fields that contain this information. This discovery revolutionized our understanding. Animals weren't developing new abilities, but demonstrating capacities that had always existed, operating at frequencies of consciousness that humanity had forgotten how to perceive. And then came October 2024, the month that changed everything. It started subtly. Pet owners worldwide reported inexplicable synchronized behaviors. In Tokyo, all the city's pigeons aligned in the same direction for exactly 15 minutes. In São Paulo, dogs from different neighborhoods began barking in unison, creating sound waves that spread through the metropolis like a coordinated symphony. In Australia, kangaroos formed perfect circles in over 50 simultaneous locations, maintaining the formations for hours. But these were just the precursors. Dr. Chen, now leading an international network of researchers, detected something extraordinary. Planetary electromagnetic fields were reorganizing. It was as if a global animal communication network was being activated, she explained. Satellites detected synchronized frequency patterns emanating from concentrations of wild fauna on all continents. The climax arrived at the turn of 2024 to 2025. At 11:47 p.m. on December 31st, something unprecedented happened. Every animal on planet Earth went completely silent for exactly 3 minutes and 33 seconds. Dogs stopped barking, birds ceased their songs, cats interrupted their meows, even insects paused their buzzing. It was as if all animal life had simultaneously pressed a cosmic pause button. Seismic stations recorded a global vibratory calm never before documented. When the silence broke, gradually, animal by animal, something had irreversibly changed. The network had been activated. Edgar Cayce's prophecy had come true. Now, in 2025, we live in a world where the boundary between the possible and the impossible has been redefined forever. Animals are no longer just our companions. They are our teachers in a language of consciousness we are only just beginning to comprehend. Every bark, every meow, every bird's song might carry information that transcends our limited perception of reality. The question that remains is no longer whether animals possess expanded consciousness. That has been proven. The question is, are we ready to recognize that we have always been the students, never the masters? Edgar Cayce predicted that the time would come when humanity would have to choose between continuing to ignore this planetary consciousness network or learning to connect with it. That moment is now. When you look into your pet's eyes, when you observe birds in formation, when you notice how nature responds to changes we haven't yet consciously perceived, you are glimpsing a reality that has always existed. We are part of a web of consciousness far greater than we imagined, and animals are the guardians of this ancient wisdom. If this video has changed your perspective on animal consciousness, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to see this, and subscribe to the channel for more revelations that are transforming our understanding of reality. In the comments, tell us about your own experience. Have you ever noticed extraordinary behaviors in animals around you? The final question is, now that we know they've always been trying to teach us, are we finally ready to listen?